Hello, my name is George Lazy. You might have seen my videos before. Some of the most sensitive videos that I've made on the Bill Clinton Foundation and on Donald Trump's war crimes have been crashed and rendered inaccessible to the whole of the world's fan base on YouTube, and that is now becoming a complicity issue in international law. Yeah, that's the suppression of the truth by YouTube, an international organisation for access of the open medias to the whole of the world's population. So the only rationale for closing the last video I made on Donald Trump's war crimes with the companies called Halliburton and the companies called Blackwater, massive frauds. They got contracts for the brutalization of Iraq to create, a new epicenter for the country that was brutalized by Tony Blair, George W. Bush. Yeah, and the woman that wrote about all of those issues, it was one of my heroines until I became a serious fraud researcher, and then she puts a bullet through my head. Yeah, that's Naomi Klein, the person who wrote the Shock Doctrine book about all of the scams from the New Orleans floods to the tsunamis on the South Pacific coast, and all of the asset stripping that is done by all of the government officials, including Donald Trump and the other contenders for the presidency. Every one of them is a crook. Okay, I'm going to get more and more explicit. And so the only reason for the crashing of my last 1 hour 20-minute video was that I was stupid enough to use Madonna's song about living to tell the tale. Yeah, so if I get killed, YouTube are directly responsible for my death by censoring the video on Donald Trump's war crimes and all of his massive ownership issues of the two of the four hugest oil companies on our globe. That's the big four. That is BP, Lord Patton's baby. Okay, that is Royal Dutch Shell, the fascist Dutch royals that you know all about, and the links to Argentina and the fascism there, and the involvement of the Pope. Okay, the other two that Donald is on the board for are ExxonMobil and Chevron. Okay, it's a massive scandal. Yeah, and those two companies that were contracted by Dick Cheney, who interlocks with Trump every which way up, are the massive people who failed to show up even in the red zone, in the safe zone in Iraq. Yet their contracts were to rebuild the whole of the destroyed cities that Tony Blair and George W. did for. Okay, so I'm not stupid enough to play a YouTube video again until they are brought to book for their war crimes and the suppression of the information on that is freely published even in the American democracy. Okay, that video is now playing. Okay, we've moved past the bit where the YouTube video is part of it, and that is an exposure of the role of Scottish enterprise and all of the British politicians. I'm going to show you my email lists and the people that have been privy to my revelations on all of the political and economic crimes against the people since 2010. Okay, that's in an earlier video that they crashed right in the middle of making it, featuring my emails to Guy Innes Kerr, 10th Duke of Roxburgh, yeah, his factor called Roddy, yeah, and to David Cameron at the Whitney Conservative Office, to Alex Salmond and the First Minister in Scotland. All of them and all of the Justice Secretaries all over the country have been the recipients of my emails with all of the profiteering director numbers. So if I do end up getting killed, this is the song that YouTube chose to silence, and it's the only rationale for shutting up the whole of that 1 hour and 20-minute video on Donald Trump's massive profiteering, casino, sleaze and war crimes. Okay? I have a tale to tell. Sometimes it gets so hard to hide it well. I was not ready for the fall, too blind to see the writing on the wall. A man can tell 1,000 lies, I've learned my lesson well. Hope I live to tell the secrets I have learned. Till then, it will burn inside of me. Then I've got added the light that Donald Trump will never see. Will I grow old? Right then, okay, so this is openly declared to be part of the American democracies. It's the Little Sis website, and I will show you now that this has been totally silenced, yeah, totally silenced by the British government and the American government. I'll show you at the bottom that that sign there is not muted. Okay, I'm trying my best to get his secrets into the public eye, and I'm likely to get a bullet between the eyes for my efforts. Okay, which is why I feel betrayed, both by Madonna, because she's in the Godfather mafias, yeah, she is the Ciccios that were the Godfathers that came across and entered the Empire State, but they forgot to register their number, so they put their real name down as Corleone, as the region in Sicily that they came from. Isn't that amusing? For my favourite female of all time. Okay, this is why they have censored me, this is why my life is in danger, and all of the social landlords in my region are part of the global mafia. Guy Innes Kerr, 10th Duke of Roxburgh, Police and Athletic League of New York, the Empire State for the Queen, Donald J. Trump Foundation, the President of, yeah, all of them pretend to be charitable ops, yeah, and he makes a joke that he's only worth 10 billion, and that is the joke that none of the people that should be declared as the world's richest and most murderous people, like the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, are put in that position, because they're the world's owners without question or contention. Guy Innes Kerr, Jesus Kerr, for a laugh. This man's dad is called Fred Christ Trump, for a laugh. 6 or 7 generations of Christs as their surname before they left Germany and the holy fucking Roman emperors in Europe. Okay, so that's why they've silenced it. Let's now show you who I tried to contact since 2010, when I've got all the director numbers for all the fraudsters on all of these things. Let me show you just what they have covered up. So the music video is there. Yeah, the music video is there, and everything that they have silenced is 1 hour and 15 minutes long. Yeah, and there's the Little Sis American Democracy's website, yeah, that openly declares all the facts, that he's on the boards of all of those things. Okay, the Pennsylvania Ivy League school that he went to, yeah, the massive thing that is the golf course in Georgia, which owns it's the Masters golf course, and there's Halliburton, the massive genocidal company that got the contract through Dick Cheney's compliance with Trump, yeah, and through all of the companies are listed under the Rothschild label, yeah, and that's the red shield for the Rothschilds. Okay, Devon Energy Corporation, guy in his care in the earlier video I made today before it was crashed 1/4 of the way through, is on the board of energy companies out in my hometown. Yeah, there is no oil, there is no coal, there is nothing but cow shit and horse shit, and that's the Piso horse joke that has run the world for 2,000 years plus. Okay, all the big banks are in his thrall, all the big oil companies are soaked up, and all the fracking project has the potential to create human extinction, like their massive nuclear scams. But what they've done with nuclear is to shut everything down all across Europe under Gerhard Schroeder's thrall, yeah, and then created the Gazprom, resell it all under private ownership, everything that the citizens of the world and the ordinary scientists who now get no pay rises for 7 years back to back, Paul Shazo and all of the quislings, yeah, that's Paul Shazo Morgan. Okay, right then, so let's get going and declare what I've tried to expose this morning. I'm going to have to hum that tune again. And I'll get onto the other computer where all of the deepest secrets are now harboured. So that's what's been censored. I've removed the censored copyrighted video from it already last night, yeah, just on the verge of midnight, because I never stop working. I never get paid for what I do, but I'm gonna get them on their knees or they're gonna have to put the hole in my head. Right then, Chevron Corporation, ExxonMobil oil and exploration company, Donald Trump on the boards all over the Holy Lands. Can you see it? Okay. I have a tale to tell. Sometimes it gets so hard to hide it well. It's not ready for the fall. Too blind to see the writing on the wall. Code word Duke of Roxburgh. Code word Whitney Conservatives. Yeah? Office Whitney Conservatives and their email addresses. All of that for all of 5 years. And every one of my huge exposures went to at least 500 people for my own safety. Yeah, because I have that massive tale to tell, and it's still being told, but they will not let me tell the Clinton story or the Trump story because it's so massive and it interlocks with all international governments, which are only the G8 governments. They're the only people that matter. They have the control of the whole world now. Right then, and the sun's peeping through again. There are no secrets I'm gonna cover. Okay, so do you see it? Chevron, ExxonMobil, Mar-a-Lago, all of that takes you back to Lagos the Rabbit and all of the warmongering since Winston Churchill used Lagos the Rabbit's V sign in wartime. Look at his interlocks, it's all over the G8, and they are the only people that have a say in how the world is run. You are now deeply complicit, YouTube, in all of these crimes. Yeah, that's the Clinton one that you silenced, but this one's worse. I cannot even play the soundtrack on my video editor on this one. Yeah, you're gonna regret it, YouTube. It will become a war criminal activity and citation in the course of time, because it's entirely for profit and for genocide of the other religions out of the master races. So Donald's on the board of the Augusta Golf Club, yeah, that's the Masters golf course, yeah, and Guy Innes Kerr is on the board of several golf courses across Britain, and it is a mafia operation, and all of them will regret it in the course of time. Okay, so we've opened up the pages. Let me show you on here what happened on Facebook this morning. Okay, that's George Lees's Facebook page. Show you again. Okay, so when I started to give the email addresses that all of my information have been sent to, immediately Facebook shut me down. Yeah, and it's quite stunning that the CIA are prepared to leave that there. Okay, every one of those names on that listing was a hyperlinked name, yeah, and all of them would have gotten the message. And now let me read you the message. Okay, there's James Henry Fetzer on the list, Max Knight on the list. Okay, I'm ever so attractive to prostitutes at the moment because everyone is trying to sideline my news. Okay, so there's the header for the article that they have blocked in the CIA in America, yeah, which is the people that run Facebook. Okay, that's my Facebook name and my ID, and there is the picture of my innocent family that has been totally asset stripped by that woman. Okay, yeah, she's a member of Intel. She has no shame. She has now taken my kids into a massive debt pool, and she will do nothing to prevent it getting deeper. Okay, I have no say in the future of my children now, and that is us enjoying the lucrative benefits of my six-figure salary in New Zealand, where she got there only because of my capacity to earn the points for the whole family, yeah, and the size of my brain and the size of my intellect and the capacity for me to expose all of the scams, even the trivia that is the obesity epidemic launched by Lord Sainsbury, which is why in that country of New Zealand I was not allowed to have my inaugural speech published. Yeah, it gets a lot worse when you listen to the story I have to tell now, which is why they gag me at every opportunity. Yeah, that's the Scottish Financial Services Mafia and all of the aristos all across our country. Guy Innes Kerr, 10th Duke of Roxburgh, and son of the people that were junketing in Palestine in World War II, totally immune from risk. As you can see from the posts below, I've become acutely aware of, yeah, so this is in the video I've already made, yeah, and this is the execution of the traitors, yeah, who are complicit in the war crimes in Nuremberg, yeah, and that video is further down, the Nuremberg trial. Everything could be translated in English then, into English then, yeah. The man who's in charge of the trial is a Lawrence, and I only discovered that this morning, and that's the covers for the killing of Stephen Lawrence in Woolwich and Princess Anne's married name, yeah. And this is the definition of complicity. An individual is complicit in a crime if he is aware of its occurrence, yeah, and that's a gender bias issue for Princess Anne and all of the people. I do not write to Princess Anne or the royals because they're very unavailable, except for Prince Charles, and his scams are massive, yeah, and he's got the boss at Lonro is his financial advisor. It's a massive scandal, yeah, and all of their holdings are in Switzerland, strictly neutral for profiteering reasons throughout human history. Yeah, well, as such, the individual effectively allows criminals to carry out a crime despite potentially being able to prevent it, yeah, by just raising their finger or raising their voice a little bit. I will show you the groupings that my correspondence goes to. 500 for every email I send, and the people, some of them are ever so loyal. Thank you to Hugh in this town, Yeah, thank you to the blacks in this town. Thank you to the Chisholms. Yeah, that's a thank you to the Lothian and Borders Police for their patience and their capacity to absorb all of the knowledge that I have about how the whole of our world has been asset stripped by the ruthless cabal that run all wars and fund all sides allegedly, but the funds actually go into their pockets, which is why Donald Trump is lying that he's not on the Forbes rich list. Right. So, as soon as I added the email addresses to this, the CIA saw what I was doing. Okay, I wrote the first hyperlink was to Guy Innes Kerr, 10th Duke of Roxburgh. I better stay back from the screen. You are a very close neighbour of mine, and I suspect that we are both very God-fearing now. Guy Innes Kerr, unfortunately, the year I came back from New Zealand, was the victim of a throat cancer. Yeah, that's where your words come from. Yeah, and your thoughts and your mind are able to express themselves through that part of your body. Yeah, I suspect that we are both very God-fearing now. I have all of your factor Roddy's polite but non-communicative replies and receipt of all of my emails since 2010, when I did not know that Alex Salmond MP was actually Salomon Rothschild, with salmon fishing in the Yemen gifted to him by the Rothschilds of Watford. So that is the Rothschild of Watford, is the one that made the movies about being drugged up in Edinburgh, and I forget what the Star Wars movies. Yeah, so he, with the all-American hero, is in the cast. I forget what role he played in that film, but that's the film about Obi-Wan Kenobi and the great odysseys all around space. Yeah, like the US moonshots led by the Armstrongs of Kelso and Jedburgh SNP. So those are the hyperlinks that were all lit up before the CIA crashed my message. Okay, that's the Jedburgh justice system. Yeah, the Jedburgh Sheriff Court is deeply complicit, and the judiciary there is deeply complicit in all of the war crimes I've reported also to Guy Innes Kerr and to the surgery, and all of this was cited as evidence for my unhinged state, even although I've got all the director numbers and all of the resignations in the Scottish NHS frauds are entirely due to me. Some of the scamsters still worship in the Jehovah's Church. Yeah, they've changed their name from being on the Forbes rich list as my bosses in pharma, and they have now become an anonymous name. Yeah, and there is a massive scandal. Yeah, and he's super rich. He's on the Forbes rich list. Trevor Jones is his real name. His alias is Ducker. Yeah, and in the front page of the papers, the day that I revealed all of that and republished it all 4 years after they first tried to have me sectioned, thanks to my disloyal wife. Yeah, the Ducker news appeared all over the front pages of the papers. Okay, SNP and the Scottish Episcopalian Church, the most powerful church in the world, yeah, which Hugh attends. They are probably the most powerful people in the world. Yeah, and the worshippers there include Guy Innes Kerr, that should be hyperlinked were it not for the CIA. Yeah, they include all of the Balfour family and all of the massive landowners all over the borders. Yeah, that's Lady Mary Bidoff, and all of the secrets are now coming out. I'm talking to the Oliphants, the massive power brokers that owned the house that is now owned by Rory Bremner, the scamster and the false newsman, and his in-laws in Hawick are massive Ponzi scheme dealers. David Cameron's Your Whitney constituency office is not in any way in denial that it has received all of my war crimes accusations for over 5 years now, with all the profiteering directorial details, like the Law Society of Scotland in hyperlinks,
like Lothian and Borders Police, and my lovely little boy's mum, Harry Lees and Grant Lees, who are now thousands of pounds in debt because they are victims of the student loans fraud. And extended dental mafia's family, that's my brother-in-law, Dr. Stephen Andrew Hancock's, who lives in the Chipping Norton constituency and the Whitney constituency office region. Yeah, that is Dunn's Tew, that is fascist Black Hill. Yeah, and so we have an interregnum, which is a posh term for the time it took to kill Greg Hallett under HRH's orders. Greg Hallett is the man who with me has exposed the massive illegitimacy of the Windsor royal family. Yeah, but Greg Hallett did not know the story about blind Prince George. He told me first the story about blind Prince George of Cumbria, but he did not know apparently that blind Prince George of Cumbria was blind Prince George of Cumbria and Teviotdale, where I live, and where the Duke of Roxburgh is gradually taking back. He's taken back 2/3 of the fishery for the common man that was ours when I was born into this beautiful civilised little town that has horse race meetings and allows the poor people to talk to and be grunted at by the rich people. Okay, so we have an interregnum, which is a posh term for the time it took to kill Greg Hallett under HRH's orders. Pippa Middleton in hyperlinks. It might be dangerous for you to talk about this in the bloody Windsor household. As most of you know, God is also complicit in all of the dirty deals. That's the gods that look down on it all in horror for 2,000 godless years, yeah? Because Christianity has replaced them, yeah? Totally replaced them. They're now the dog on the end of the Christian lead, yeah? Since that apple was stolen in the garden, that's that one. You see it every day, okay? So, where is that? And that's where. So since that apple was stolen in the garden, that's the God's awareness of all of their crimes and the determination of all of the volcanic explosions, all of the earthquakes, all of the massive windstorms and things that scared the shit out of the judiciary when they were trying to take my home from me in a ruthless and totally lethal way. Yeah, that is sectioning through my wife's disloyalty and through the disloyalty of Dr. Ian Fingland, the doctor who trained as a policeman in the name of freedom first. Yeah, and law enforcement tried to have me sectioned and executed by the best and the only free NHS anywhere in the world. And that's why I prefer to call Guy Innes-Kerr 10th Duke of Roxburgh Deep Throat, because I know he is a God-fearing man with the capacity to live to over 100 if he changes his ways and begins to work for the country and the people, instead of what you see in the video I made just a couple of hours ago on his holdings in the golf courses, his holdings in the false energy sector, and all of the things that that man could do, yeah, to help our countries all over the globe to get back to prosperity and solvency. Every one of them is in a scam that is called the sovereign debt crisis, and all of these people spend all of their time partying, and none of them are committed to any constructive political change. They've asset stripped the whole world. Pippa Middleton hyperlink on those Queen's Sword knighthood issues that we speculated on last week. I cannot do time on those until all God's awareness on complicity issues have been punished. Crosskeys Kelso, which is the massive hotel about the icon for Christianity being the Cluny Abbey before the Vatican was built, it's got the cross keys on its front, yeah, and that is the St Andrew's flag for Alex Salomond Rothschild, yeah, right down in the south of France, right adjacent to the start point for World War I. Yeah, and right next door to the Bank of International Settlements, where all of the Nazi loot still is, and all of the gold bricks from the citizens' teeth that were put in the fire pans still is. Yeah, so Krusky's Hotel, Kelso, Saltire flag joke. Thank you for the Pony Club insight. Yeah, I went to a Pony Club meeting last week and the people were charming. And I fancy one of them, but she escaped me at the races yesterday. And she's a dead ringer for Hillary Clinton, but much younger. I now have, but you are complicit in shielding. So thank you to the Pony Club for the insight I now have into how the Piezo horse is still the icon for fascism all over the world. But they're really nice people, and Guy in his care grunted at me yesterday. His wife did not talk. Okay, I now have, but so thank you for the insight, the Pony Club and the Cross Keys, who told me that there was a meeting there. But Cross Keys, you are now complicit in shielding Sally Magnuson's contact details. Sally Magnuson presents songs of praise, and she knows, as a Magnuson, in the Magnus bloodlines that are in the elite families that run the world and all of the false religions, that there never was a Jesus Christ. Okay? And she preaches at that Krusky's Hotel, and I went and paid a fee to see her. Shania Twain and Gwyneth Paltrow, only your secrets are safe with me. There's a couple of bimbos that I've become aware of in world history. Yeah, but they're also, at least Shania is also related to Hillary Clinton and the Chrétiens, the Prime Ministers in Canada. Yeah? So, Shania Twain and Gwyneth Paltrow, only your secrets are safe with me. And for both, I get the impression, it will be really difficult to explain for your simplicity. Some call it Chrétienism. Max Knight and others, that's Max Knight in Hyperlinks, who works for the Customs and Excise International Board, Brexit scams, and the code words I then started to insert, and immediately when they saw that it was the Prime Minister's address, when they saw that it was the Chief Justice people in Scotland's addresses, yeah, so I can tell you now that I've contacted people all over the world, yeah, in every sector of life, because all of them are secretly covered up and surveilled by all of the government officials. Okay? And James Fetzer, not sure where he's gone. There were a couple of comments that I was going to put further down, but they've been taken down already. Okay? And there's my earlier post this morning. So this is James Blunt's video on the no bravery joke, and it is the images, the horrific images of the brutalisation of Iraq, because James Blunt is a nephew of the Blunt that was involved in the Cambridge University frauds in World War II, and he was a double agent all through that. He's a prominent figure in Ian Fleming's Operation Winnie the Pooh, and so that's the hyperlink. The picture, for obvious reasons, with the dead bodies of the babies in Iraq being cuddled by the soldiers in the NATO uniforms, which James Blunt was. He was in the tanks that ran through that massive area in the Holy Lands so that all of their oil wealth could be sequestered by Tony Blair, George W. and, on the quiet, Donald Trump. Yeah, Dick Cheney's all over the transcript, and the bringing down of the Twin Towers, it was done by the same team, including Condoleezza Rice. And all through that video, all of the Borders treason and my still being banned from the Black Swan pub by the new Lee's owner is a massive indictment on how Police Scotland, they claimed that the police had said that I must not be allowed to drink in that pub. The police have not said that I'm not allowed to drink in any of the other pubs, yeah, but that's because of the sudden deaths that have occurred there, and God knows why all of those sudden deaths are occurring. In the media people, in the political people like Lord Patton, Yeah, it is absolutely massive, and all of them are panicking about it now. They, YouTube, are covering the war crimes in Iraq and Afghanistan. Yeah, so that's the no bravery thing. They have not got the courage to put the song and the icon for that with the dead babies, one dead baby on it, being cuddled by a NATO man, and all of the dead man's boots are all lined up, and all of the war grave dead come back to Chipping Norton, yeah, or Royal Wootton Bassett right next door. The image is of James Blunt's No Bravery video, yeah, and can you see how all of the propaganda that they release, yeah, there is no bravery anymore, and they're ashamed of that conflict, but they will not show the picture that these are the same people that are running the oil scams, are running the casinos, are running the vice dens, and all of it are the false monarchy behind it, and the money lenders are their bosses. Okay, Pippa Middleton, at the peasant shooting, do you hang the dead men's boots over the guns and cuddle the dead grouse like is illustrated in the pictures? Yeah, and my pictures of the Rothschild Trust in Auckland still doing the profiteering and the laundering of that, with Hannah Rothschild smiling ever so warmly. Yeah, it is absolutely sinister that they're still allowed to do it with impunity. Okay, all of them, all of the people that are running for presidency are crooks and villains with an international transcript of crimes against millions and millions of now dead people, dead very prematurely because of the ruthlessness. Okay, so this is my message to Pippa Middleton. She shoots with the Duke of Northumberland on the beats where I forget what I get. I think it's £30 a day for my day's work on the massive mountains. Yeah, and I'm a professor of neuroscience, and I'm the world's most insightful fraud researcher. Yeah, I don't care about money. I care about my children's future and the world's children's future. In retrospect, you're the world's most decent woman, Pippa Middleton. Guy Inniskerr, 10th Duke of Roxburgh, I'd be delighted to be introduced to your charming new wife and to share her secrets, because she's as skinny as a rake. She looks heavily stressed, and both of them knew yesterday that I was going to make this video because they have the secrets of the soothsayers, and I still don't understand how that works. I have several candidates who might spill the beans to me, yeah, and that is the interlocks with the witchcraft people and the occult, which have gone on through all of world history, yeah, and I now realise just how important it is, and it's what keeps me going. Thank you to the gods for your insight and, you know, knowing all about their complicity for 2,000 years. It's actually more like 8,000. Since the beginning of biological time, and they have now, with the fracking concepts and the nuclear secrets, they have the way to human extinction. Okay, then I could sack my dietitian if I was in touch with the skinny and stressed second Duchess of Roxburgh, and perhaps become second or third jockey to Lady Jane, who is persecuted in the household, yeah, and is now not allowed to see her own children on location. Then to Hillary Clinton, who's got a hyperlink. You have a body double in my region, and she is still ovulating, but just as evasive as you. Why, one wonders, do the Donald J. Trump lineage not just take a nice warm bath like Frank Pentangeli and let the world's people have a life? You remember Frank Pentangeli? Yeah, and all of the Nuremberg scenarios being replayed in his trial. Yeah, and Gordon Little is the head of the downstairs sector at the Duke's residence. Have you ever hosted a visit from a charming lady called Bathsheba? She was in the Bible fraud and narrowly failed in the audition for Greystoke, which is the film about the joke about Tarzan returning. Yeah, that's me in the story. Yeah, Tarzan returning and beating his chest on their billiard table in the castle. Yeah. Okay, so, and Bathsheba is in the Bible that the Pisos defrauded. Right, so all of that is still up there. What else can I show you? What sites have we got open? So you understand the complicity issues. I'm not sure that I've shown you Hannah Rothschild with the okay, so there is, I dare not play it. If I put anything in this from YouTube, it will be banned. Okay, this is Facebook, run by the CIA. That is the Nuremberg trial in 1945. Yeah, and all of it. So dear friends, I want you all to remember these hearings presided over by Lord Lawrence, the English speaking aristo who was in charge at Nuremberg, not a relative of Princess Anne, one presumes. YouTube, you are now complicit, like the Law Society of Scotland, Jedburgh Sheriff Court, all elected officials that I've contacted at Holyrood, Westminster, and whatever they call the Irish Freemasons now. That's the Taoiseach, or the Republican Irish equivalent. Okay, that is complicit in the war crimes of Dick Cheney, Tony Blair, George W. Bush. 36 hours ago they banned an 80-minute video on Donald Trump's involvement on the boards of, that's the lethal boards of Halliburton, Blackwater, ExxonMobil, Mobil and Chevron. His interlocks in owning half of the world's oil wealth include Cheney, the Rice sisters, that's Condoleezza Rice and her successor, foreign secretaries, and the Augusta Master Race Golf Club. Yeah, the Rice sisters incredibly are on the boards of that as the foreign secretaries, as the White Aryan Master Race. That's Bill Clinton's whiteboards joke, which is why his massive videos that have been banned since the end of last rugby season, so that's a full year of censorship on the Clinton Foundation video, and he is the half-brother of Queen Elizabeth II, with Winston Churchill donating the semen, yeah, or shagging the women, the loose women in the bloodlines or in the downstairs staff that are involved in the parenting of all of the illegitimate monarchy. Okay, so the Rice sisters and Dick Cheney and our mate Donald Trump are on the boards of the Augusta Master Race Golf Club. Yeah, and they're involved in the USA Homeland Security genocides all over the world. The entire 80-minute soundtrack for my video has been silenced, even though I have now removed the 4 to 5 minutes of copyrighted music. So you've seen all of that now in the 2 videos I've made this morning. Yeah, and the sun's beginning to glint again, and Donald's dad is Fred Christ Trump. Yeah, it's absolutely ruthless, and all of them know that Jesus Christ never lived, and that is the massive Pi Pilgrim Fathers joke out of Leiden in Holland. Yeah, and all of the issues of the lowlands and the terror, everything that I report is directly covered by terror threats or Islamic threats or the Belgian terror that we saw last week, for this massive scams by the Rothschild family and Lord Wellington at Waterloo. And even Bonaparte is a joke about the Bono people that marry into Madonna's bloodline, because they are Piso family members. Yeah, they go right back, like the furriest Pisos and all of the things that I've told you about in all of the videos I've made. Yeah, with the director numbers, all of the citations I have sent to all of my correspondents all over Britain and all over every continent on the world. Yeah, the most difficult of all were Czechoslovakia and Russia. I still have no contact with any of those. Even the universities there are immune from contact, presumably because they have decent people in them. Right then, so you get that. I dare not play it, yeah, because the whole video will be gagged if I do. Okay, I think I'm going to stop there now. let me show you Hannah Rothschild with a coat hanger up her arse. Okay, so there's guy in his care when the hyperlinks were working. Before I mentioned the fact that I've been emailing them for 5 years back to back. Yeah, can you see the hyperlinks on those ones are okay? And they were okay until I had to copy the Word document, yeah, that meant that they could not shut me down. Okay? James Henry Fetzer, Field McConnell, Mick the Fish, Lothian and Borders Police, the Law Society Scotland. That is complicity. Okay? So, the bit in the middle, and when you reboot this page, all of that controversial stuff has been disappeared by YouTube already. Can you see it? That's why I put the code word letters and all of the email addresses on that there. Okay, and let me just close by showing you how active I have been in that 5-year period. Yeah, and I don't know now that I'll be able to find my so there's the letter that I wrote, and there's the recipients that panicked the CIA in America. Okay, because the CIA in America are very subservient to the European elites now, and the Queen still owns the empire state that is New York, and effectively all of that massive continent, and the Canadians are just a giveaway. Okay, so there's the office at Whitney Conservatives, there's First Minister at scotland.gsi.gov.uk. that was Salmond right up to the moment that he had to resign. His mate Kenny McCaskill was the Justice Minister at that time. He had to resign. The boy politician and the poof in England that gets involved with the human trafficking with Angelina Jolie, his name is William Hague. He had to resign. Cabinet Secretary, and all of that is because as Foreign Secretary, William Hague was obliged to send me formal receipts for every email he received. The people at the BBC include the little redhead that presents the pop programme at 9 o'clock in the morning, Chris Evans. Yeah, it includes my heroine that was very like the barmaid at the horse racing yesterday, who's the tiny little singer that sings the Cats songs. I forget what her name is for the moment. Yeah, and she sings, all of them sing all of those songs about tell me on a Sunday please. Yeah, all of them understand the religious fraud, and all of them compromise themselves by laughing at it. Okay, Cabinet Secretary for Justice at scotland.gsi.gov.uk, Pia Arlekin Hansen, EC Europa.eu. That is the private secretary for Barroso the crook that set up the EU, and all of it is a massive scam launched by the English speaking people in the 1950s and that in the 1960s, and that becomes a huge divisive issue, like all of the Cold War before it, and all of the manipulation guy in his care of the energy prices at the forecourt. Yeah, and my little video that I've made in the middle of the crashed one that's totally silenced, yeah, reveals Guy Inniscare's new holdings. Yeah, and that's only one of his names. Okay, and that's presumably why he only grunts to me now as his loyal servant and feudal tool. Okay, so let me show you some of the other. So if I were to put in there politicians, Police Scotland, okay, Policing Scotland, Oxgangs, Blair Police, yeah, hundreds of them in every one of my mailing lists. Policing UK, head of the union movement and the police traitors is a man called Priestley. Yeah, almost got the word Piso in it. Okay? Politicians, there's Michael Ancram right up front. That's my other social landlord. He is the Marquis of Lothian. He trains people in the south of England by the Cornish estates to go to their deaths in the British armies. Yeah, he worships at my church. For a time they threatened to close another one of our churches down. Yeah, like 2 of the 4 law courts have gone already in my period of political activity. Okay, Annabel Goldie, she was the former head of the Conservatives before the homosexual boss who pines for McCletchy and the Better Off Together movement, yeah, as head of Scottish Labour. Totally compromised every one of the sad bastards. Okay, politics in theory, police all over the country, all of them ignore all of my prompts, all of the director numbers for the massive economic scams. What else could we put in there? Yeah, and we could put in Caravan Club. Yeah, and all the ads you see on YouTube now cover all of my contacts, all of the people that get those emails. And thank you to Hugh and his charming wife. She's lovely, and she may be neglected in the bedroom according to some of the stories I've heard from Hugh himself. But he's a really nice guy, and that's all that it takes. Yeah, it is all that it takes. And she's multilingual and she's incredibly beautiful, but she has a dirty profiteering mind. Right then, so what else could we choose? Oh, crikey. Okay, so there's Alex Salmond. Yeah, he's now in Westminster, a repeated criminal offender. Yeah, do you get the Salomon Rothschild joke? And the salmon fishing in the Yemen, which is the Garden of Eden, before it became the Beatleses of Liverpool and Lord Liverpool of the global fraud, yeah, the men. We're a really sophisticated country when it comes to comedy in the political sector. Yeah, we've got that absolutely crippled. What else do I use frequently? So the Elliots of Springwood are on the Caravan Club listing, and that is the Springwood estate that is home to FDR, the warmonger and the Pilgrim Father, yeah, who sailed, yeah, they were the Dillanois, yeah, and they are on the Mayflower when it sailed from Holland. It's absolutely ruthless and endless, but I intend to end it. Yeah, and let me show you the list of people that were on my doctor's thing that they tried to section me for. So Sandy Morris was on my list of thinking professionals. There's a couple of Jehovah's on there now, and they've become very intransigent since I exposed that the Jehovah's and all of the Salvation Army and all of the Mormons are funded by the Rothschilds. And Taze Russell's crooked empire that is the Mafia. Okay? And that's the Russell Mafias globally. Yeah? Thinking professionals. Somebody who's a civil servant at the Scottish Government, and it will not show you them all. Yeah? Some of them are my loyalist friends. It's the Chisholms, yeah, that's the Blacks, and I know that they are part of my destiny, and they know that too, because they've seen the fine art that is hung in the galleries that shows the images of them. And that is some of the most ancient biblical frauds, and it's incredible how the gods share the world's biggest secrets with me and all of the innocents that are prepared to listen and raise their fingers to save their children's future. Thank you to all of those yeah, and the pizza people who came to meet me from America, and Anne Marie, yeah, who was in the Greenwich University Thames Poly team with me, and Pippa Middleton, and Princess Kate's mum, Caroline, Carol in those days, yeah. All of them are still in touch with me, yeah. All of the junior members who have not become the illegitimate royalty. Right then, and let me just show you a list of politicians. Oh no, let's dub on the Kiwis, because loads of them are Barclays and things. NZ good guys. Okay, so this, everything I do goes global for my own safety. Okay. Oh, it's not going to work for me now. So there are Barclays on this. Oh, there we go. So, yeah, these are all of my friends. That is the woman in Auckland. Yeah, that's Martin Linedlick, my loyalist friend. He is harbouring the current location of what became of my tits out PA. Yeah, and her name is Sonia. None of them will let me get in touch with them. And yet Sonia was on rehab when I left New Zealand because of the disloyalty issues. Yeah, there's the Nazi Kurt Cruz, who's mentioned in the Odessa film. Watch it and listen carefully for the names. He's the head of psychiatry, he's the profiteer at Pfizer, and his own son was unhinged. Yeah, and that's Paris, Texas, the joke about the Rothschilds, who run all of this massive cabal. Okay, that's the cousin of John Lamont MSP, and his parents and his relatives live in Roxburgh Street, right next to the massive gates for a guy in his care, 10th Duke of Roxburgh. Okay, this is the biochemistry department, and they're particularly crooked. Everybody who's come into my life is part of the world story. And the Paxton boys, yeah, you've heard that story about them being the people that were involved in the pagan Indian cull in America. Yeah, and that's why the Paxtons all have a full head of hair in my hometown, and they're my best mates. And I'm still hoping that Eki will join my campaign, because everything that he's done in life, he's made a great contribution to. Yeah, and the rugby club that he gave his life to has this year been relegated, yeah, because they cannot afford all of the massive expenses of buying the talent that can keep you in the upper divisions. Okay, that's a hero of mine. That's the Begg bloodline that is in the Piso Windsor, Sally Magnuson, yeah, all of them, Charlemagne, the Holy Roman Emperors, the Beggs are in it. Take my word for it. He's a really nice guy, really fit, really intellectual, and has got a sharp mind, like all of them. And if only they would let the truth out that New Zealand could be free were they not slaves to Her Royal Highness, yeah, who runs the whole world by cheating and killing people. Yeah, and that's the Hessian role, is my new secretary, who has replaced Tits Out Sonia, yeah, and she is, her name, she's from Kilmarnock on the west coast of Scotland, and her name means mercenary, soldier, out of Europe, to brutalise Scotland. Yeah, that's the Agricola period, when the Romans were getting their way along the Antonine Wall. Isn't it interesting? Okay, so I could show you, I've got hundreds and hundreds of fan bases, and all of them get my news, and none of them do anything about it. But some of the Kiwis are relatively spirited, as you would expect, and they congratulate me occasionally, and they encourage me occasionally. Yeah. And some of them were sent there, and they were defrauded by the aristocracy in Scotland. Yeah, that's my best mate in life, the head of the the, what do you call it, when you've got joint problems in medicine, and I went fishing with him every weekend. He's visited Scotland a couple of times, and he was defrauded by the local dukedom, which is the Duke of Roxburgh, 10th Duke now. Okay, and their family were defrauded in Moorbattle, and that name is just a telling indictment of how sad the whole of world history is. It's run by brutality and more battles all through human history, and all of these are civilized people, and I can't yet see. There's Frank Griffin, on the world's 100 leading Freemasons. Yeah, 66 million to keep the whole of ag research and the agricultural sector in British royal hands. Yeah, and there is the Prime Minister's outlet. Right, I think I'm going to stop there now. Let's get a list of politicians. Yeah, and you heard me tell you about McKinnell in Newcastle yesterday. So, where else? Sorry, let me put the camera down for a second. CC. Westminster at Parliament.uk. Okay. Every day, yeah, everything I reported. Oh, sorry, that must be a communal address. MPs, let's try that. There's William Hague. Okay, if we look for William Hague and his receipts, he was the Foreign Secretary right through from 2010 to 11 for David Cameron and the coalition government. Yeah, Nick Clegg is on my list, and Nick Clegg, I've got several of his staff members. Let's show you that, because Nick Clegg is a total traitor to our country, and he recently, so do you get that? Every one of those Foreign Office officials, yeah, and his predecessor was, I forget, he's a skinny guy and always looks stressed, but every one of the Foreign Office officials and the cabinet members are obliged to give you a receipt every time you send them a message, and I've got all of his, on all of his scams. His sister and his wife are Princess Trust fraudsters. And there's Glenda, yeah, my greatest heroine. All of them are traitors to me. Yeah, I forget the name of this. Elaine Page was the singer. She's got a programme on the BBC. Yeah, and all of my heroes in the BBC turn out to be mafia members too. That is the glorious wife of the man who is Fatboy Slim, and she's in the mafias. Yeah, and I forget what her name is. Zoe Ball, the Ball mafias. Alan Ball, my greatest hero at Hitler's Everton FC. Yeah, when Hitler Rothschild was training in Britain. Yeah, my story is long, and every one of the stories is written down, and all of it is a massive fraud against the British people and the world's people that they own in that massive empire that the murderous Queen has. What was I going to show you? I still cannot find. So Jenny Tongue. Okay, so you can see that everybody is getting battered with this. There's Field McConnell, the head of the Able Danger Know Nothing movement, with the Hawkins and the Hawkeye jokers, yeah, that are the WWF fundraisers in Sky News, being his colleagues John Patterson and all the Know Nothings. Yeah, that is the Suicide is Painless song in Vietnam. I just wish I could get a list of Scottish politicians, because they have no shame. Oh, and there's Helen Gordon. Okay, I'm in touch with all the professions. Helen Gordon is the woman who's a midwife who became the head of the Royal Pharmaceutical Society. Every one of the royal takeovers of all of the great professions. There's my deserter in Helen Nicholson. Before she became the Dean, she promised that she would collaborate with my department. When she became the Dean, she had me sacked for bad behaviours. Yet they were never defined, and I've got my letters from my loyal staff that confirm that, after they get the cancers. Yet she's from Musselburgh, and her husband is the Burns Club reader. It's a massive cabal to steal from the indigenous people, and there are very few of them left. And when the Prime Minister, when I was there, joined the UN Development Agency, her name is Helen Clark, and she's a very evil person. She's a sexual deviant. She's stolen $2 million from the development agency that she works for, or maybe $8 million. Yeah, Greg Hallett told me that. It's the person that was killed with the Queen after the interregnum was over. Okay, so that's Musselburgh, where I started my career. Yeah, and that's where the first racecourse was launched. Okay, all of them are slaves to those old ties, and she is formerly an academic. Her husband's from Musselburgh, she's from Bristol. All of the slaving centres, yeah, Liverpool and Bristol, are the massive traitor hubs for all of the people that launder the cash all around the world. And she lived in a panelled home, which is part of their secret, yeah, rituals. Okay, so where else? And thinking professionals is the biggest one, and they're the most loyal of the lot, because loads of them are locals. Okay, and I've got fishing good guys, okay, all over the world. So there we've got in New Zealand, Australia, and all of the people who have come to visit me, yeah, and they precipitate massive storms when they come, and they live in the Melrose Freemasons territory, and this everything is underwater, yeah. And it's amazing how the ordinary working man has deserted his children, yeah, and how the ordinary working woman, Miss Valerie Jane Lees, has deserted all of them. That guy is really nice. I mean, you should have seen the storms when he was here, but he caught some fish and he was really talkative, and he's a socialist. Yeah, and the nicest German of the lot was a man called Frank Müller, but he's now dropped out, I think, of my Facebook community. Let me see if I can find him. Yeah, that's the Müllers that are the millers and the burning the flour to stone. Let's see if we get anything under Müller. Yeah, he's on one of those fishing lists. He came, and he's incredibly insightful. And no, I cannot see him, but let me show you just one of the people that is the rich list covers. So that's Rosling, is Hans Rosling, and he's a cover for the Forbes rich list man. Oh, he's Hans, and there's Harold Ellison, the MP for Blackpool, who told me all about the massive frauds of Alex Salmond, who's a banking magnate that used to storm around in the Westminster buildings before he became the head of the SNP, who, when they got into power in 2010, had a landslide victory and could have demanded freedom for Scotland, but because he is in the world owners team, yeah, he is obligated to be treasonous and to get involved in all of those electoral frauds and all of those financial frauds. And Donald Trump's director numbers on the Ponzi schemes that he runs in wind power and false energy guy in a scare in Scotland. Yeah, that is the Dun Wilco frauds that you can find on my. So that's the MP for Blackpool, as was. His wife is a beautiful lady called Rebecca Strommeyer, and she frequently now is on my correspondence list because she has the courage to let her hyperlink pop up. They live right next door to the Jungle pub that was the host for the now dead David Bowie, and that is the Walking the Dead joke, that you take your God on the end of the lead through godless Germany. Yet the places that were immune from bombing mean that there is no God. That is Göttingen, no God. Yeah, that's the Jesus Christ fraud joke. And Rebecca is lovely, but she will not talk to me either. Everybody that has a hyperlink is just an obfuscation tool on Facebook. Yeah, they're lovely people, and they knew about my power. They came to fish with me on the Teviot Valley for a pittance. I think I got £60 a day at that time. Yeah, my salary in New Zealand was way over $75 an hour. Yeah, and all of my time in New Zealand was totally wasted. Yeah, and there's my children's addresses too. They are thousands of pounds in debt because they're loyal to my disloyal wife and to David Cameron from their uncle's region that is Chipping Norton. Gonna stop, okay? I can tell you, if you continue to be disloyal to me, I may reveal your name. Yeah, Martin Connolly. Yeah, that's an Irishman. Yeah, he's responsible for the educational scams in Britain, in New Zealand, in Wellington, named after the Rothschilds' greatest triumph at Waterloo. Okay, and all of the trivia that comes into the media is the cover-up that Waterloo is their biggest triumph, and that's the loss of the Bank of England to the Rothschild family. It's going to stop. Okay, thanks for your time. Yeah, and this time YouTube, you are accused of complicity in war crimes in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in all of those places where they are there only. Yeah, that is Libya and the Lebanon, only there to steal the last remaining central banks that are not in private hands under the Rothschilds' thrall, Hannah Rothschild. Thank you for sending the red-headed bimbos, yeah, that are in charge of Guy Innes-Kerr's shooting operations. Yeah, none of it intimidates me. I will carry on talking until they cut my throat. Bye.